Again, I'm going to say love you 3 minutes.
Oh,
I'm going to say
good.
3 minutes again. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Misha Ivanov, and I'm the VP of Business Development for Arc Mobile. And I'm here to tell you how Arc Mobile is going to make restaurant payments faster, easier, and more secure. Before we dive into the story, let me tell you a little bit about the genesis of the idea. We have Tyler Mendoza sitting over there, who is one of the floor managers at Untitled. He and his dad run Untitled and see the following 3 scenarios unfold in front of their eyes every night. Scenario number 1, you have a group dinner where 10 friends are having a great time, having a few drinks. At the end of the night, somebody has to figure out how to split the bill. Scenario number 2, the business dinner, where you have to slip the waiter your credit card before the client can figure out what's going on. Scenario number 3, the dinner before the show, where you have to really go fast, but your waiter has conveniently disappeared, and now you're really in a rush. Those scenarios are not only frustrating for the patrons, but they're also infuriating for the restaurant management staff because they clog up the table and they prevent a faster turn. If each of these parties had Arc Mobile in their lives, the night would look a little different. Let me show you how in a demo. Here we start by entering the check number in our smartphone app. We pull up the bill and select the items that we've had. Because we've shared the wings with our friends, we're going to split it a couple of ways. Now we're ready to move on and select how much tip we're going to pay. At the tip, you blah, blah, blah. And then you have a PIN entered for your pre-stored credit card. After you're done with that, we have a digitized comment card where you're going to leave the restaurant some feedback on your favorite item and the general ambiance of the setting. Once Chris is done checking himself out, he can hand over the bill to Dom, who's going to go through the same process. Punch in the check number, but now instead of selecting the rest of the items, he's just going to select the paid balance of the statement and the rest you've seen. Tip, PIN, comment card. While the rest of the demo is going on, I'd like to point out that this process is 100% digital and 100% secure for the patrons. Because your card never leaves your pocket, you will avoid the chance of skimming. Credit card skimming, 70 to 80% of which happens in restaurants. So now we've talked about the benefits to the customer. They get a simple, quick, and transparent payment for free. Arc Mobile gets 60 cents. And for those 60 cents paid 100% by the restaurants get the following. We reduce checkout time by 13 minutes on average per table, allowing the restaurant to seat the next table of patrons and get another opportunity to generate revenue. Next up, we have increased server productivity because servers now can entertain guests and sell that next bottle of Bordeaux instead of queuing behind the POS, swiping cards. Next, we eliminate chargebacks. Because of the double authentication of having the phone and the PIN, restaurants now have better backing for any customer charge contestations. And finally, we've already talked about the real-time feedback through the comment card. This idea is all well and good, but let us tell you something about which we're very proud, our progress. We're integrated with 2 POS systems, Aerios, an innovative tablet-based POS, and Micros, the industry leader, which gives us access to 25% of restaurants in the US. We already talked about how we're operating with Untitled, but recently we also became live in Union Sushi. Now we're excited about that not only because Union is one of Professor Kaplan's favorite sushi spots, but also because it's a Micros location where we can bring the next 15 clients ready to install Arc at their locations and demonstrate it in a live environment. Over the past several weeks, we've been conducting push tests where we've incentivized waiters to push the application onto users, and we've had pretty good traction. 400 customers have downloaded the application, and 204 of those have already paid for over $10,000 worth of dinner and drinks at Untitled. Now that I've told you about where we've been, I'll bring on Chris to tell you a little bit where we're going.
So we're very aware that we're working here with a two-sided network. We need users and we need restaurants. Now, as Michel mentioned, we've done a variety of tests in the first few weeks we've been operational. We've tested incentivizing users, we've tested incentivizing waiters, and what we found is that having marketing materials in the check presenter while incentivizing waiters at $5 per new user has exponentially helped our growth. So of those 204 users who paid with ARC in the last few weeks, approximately half of those who come from the 2 weekends we have incentivized the waiters at $5 per user. So we're very confident in the early going, this is a winning strategy. Now as we grow and as we get into a critical mass of restaurants, this is where we can start doing more standard marketing. Not only incentivizing users to invite their friends, but we can also do locally targeted and demographically targeted ads through Google and Facebook, as well as those same types of targeted ads in foodie apps such as Zagat and Yelp. Now of course we also need to be in restaurants. In the early going, we have worked with Tyler and his father's network here in Chicago. They've gotten us not only our first 2 locations, but many of the 15 restaurants that are ready to start now that they've seen us live in a Micros restaurant of Union Sushi. However, we've also been pounding the pavement and have our first couple of restaurants who are interested in us that are not from Tyler's network, that we've been able to talk about the benefits of ARC and sell them without having that network connection. Now as we continue to grow, we're going to bring on direct sales staff to be able to sell to restaurants. We're going to have co-branding opportunities. We're going to partner with liquor distribution reps, who are some of the most powerful salespeople in the restaurant industry. And of course we'll do trade shows and more standard marketing, such as Google and Facebook. We're going to do them in ways where restaurant owners are as opposed to the users. Now that we've talked about how we're going to get both sides of the network, let's talk about the opportunity. So we've taken a look at our target demographic, which is full-service restaurants who do a significant number of table turns and are also technology-driven. Now in Chicago alone, we see 3,000 restaurants who fit this description. Now with the unit economics that Dom will get into in a little bit, those restaurants represent over $40 million in potential annual revenue for ARC Mobile. Now as we expand and look at the top 30 markets in the United States, we're talking about over 53,000 restaurants representing over $706 million in revenue. So even in the subset of restaurants that we would like to work with, there's significant potential. Now of course, because there is, we know we have competitors. So first off, we have payment applications such as Level Up and Square. Now Level Up and Square really specialize in quick service restaurants and in point of sale, when there's a sort of a point of sale transaction. So they work with QR codes and dongles. We are directly integrated with the point of sale, so we work much better for full service restaurants. We're really attacking a different subset. Now there's also some startups such as Dash and Cover. Now these are still new, they're still developing their technology, but what they've said publicly, they want to be more like Uber. They want to be one-touch payment before you even get to the restaurant, or without seeing your bill. So from what they've said, they have a very different business plan. We look forward to seeing how they evolve. Now finally we have Tabbed Out, who is sort of the most similar to us. However, operationally we are very different. Tabbed Out was originally set up for a bar environment. So you get your tabbed out number when you first get to the restaurant. You have to show it to the bartender, the waiter. They have to punch your items in, and there's a back and forth all evening. Whereas we're specifically designed for restaurants, where you simply input the check number at the end of the meal and you pay. Of course, there's also Open Table, and while they aren't in the space yet, they're very technology driven, they're in the restaurants, so we're constantly monitoring them as the 800-pound gorilla. So this is the team that will get us there. We have Jimmy and Joe with over 40 years of experience in development and architecture. We have myself, Michel, and Dominic, who have a variety of experience in operations, finance, marketing, and business development. And of course, we have Tyler with over 8 years of experience as a floor manager and working in restaurant startups. We have our advisory board, Art Mendoza and Mike Haley, who have gotten us into these initial restaurants. We have Bob Gibson and Paul Paree, who have got us integrated with the POS systems and introduced us to several others we're very close to integrating with. And finally, Bradley Trichta, who's taught us a number of ways to structure the company that have us poised for explosive growth. Now that I've gone over that, Dominic is going to talk about the financials.
Sure. So the missing ingredient is capital. We're asking for $1 million to capture Chicago and to prepare our infrastructure for a national rollout. So we've based these assumptions on conversations we've had with key analogs, including Grubhub and Belly. which garnered over 200,000 users and over 1,400 businesses in under 9 months. So the bulk of this will be spent on sales and marketing, on product development, and IT infrastructure. Now, we'll also preserve some cushion for cost overruns and uncertainty in the funding market. So to put this in the context for a broader economic model, I'd like to walk you through the unit economics of a single restaurant. So our target restaurant has 200 seats, and they turn their table 3 times a day. This results in over 200,000 patrons served. And at a 10% penetration rate and a 60-cent fee per transaction, we'll generate over $13,000 in revenue per year per restaurant. The key linchpin variable here is the 10% penetration rate. We base this assumption on a consumer survey with over 170 respondents that showed that 70% of respondents were likely to pay with mobile payments in a restaurant. The number one reason they hadn't done so already is simply because of a lack of awareness. So if we can do this, let's talk about how we scale. So as we mentioned, we'll be at 100 restaurants in the city of Chicago in year 1. And if that's all we ever do, we're confident that we'll be consolidated as the land grab for in the restaurant payment industry increases over the next few years. But we can do much better than that. In fact, with additional funding, we're going to launch to 5 additional cities in year 2 and be at over 700 restaurants. By the end of year 5, you'll be able to pay for ARC in over 7,000 restaurants, at business dinners in New York, before a pre-show dinner in San Francisco. You guys in the back will pay for bachelor party dinners in Las Vegas. And what we haven't mentioned is that we'll have insight into every dish ordered at all of our restaurants, which will make us the big data play for the restaurant industry. And that has not been included in our projections. And if we can do that, we'll be an attractive acquisition target for a number of players. Rather than speculate who that player is, we've listed precedent transactions here showing the increasing acquisition activity in the industry, whether it's large players such as Visa, PayPal, Apple, and Google, or younger companies that are still emerging. There's also names on here, names that are not on here. In fact, Groupon and OpenTable have not yet made their play in the space. And we think we can be an attractive target for people who are trying to build instant feedback, create content, and increase their merchant analytic capabilities. So with that, we're ARC. We'd love to partner with you, and we're open for questions.
8 seconds over.
That's fine.
So there, yes,
I
so
mean,
far.
I think that was great. I think now it's time to kind of take
Yeah.
review and consolidate.
I mean,
like the whole overrun is once again my fault.
What was the breakdown again? I can't like speed read like that. I'm like, gonna fuck it up.
So what I'm saying is.
Here, let's do this outside.
Yeah.